sorry, the number you have reached is not in service. Please check the number or try your call again. This is a recording.
Are you listening?
Hello there,
I'm Darius,
and I'm Sam.
and welcome to the Oxford Youth Podcast. This podcast is by young people, for young people, just to talk about the things that we care about.
We're here to give you a voice, whether that's the voice of your creativity, your professionalism, or just something that you're doing that you feel needs to be spoken about.
And if you want to get in touch and actually get on this podcast, you really can.
We don't bite. I mean, we promise.
And we promise. But the real question here is, are you listening?
I mean, are you listening?
Are you listening?
Are you listening?
Let's just get on into the podcast. Welcome back to the Black Lives Matter mini-series. There are some themes within this mini-series that may be upsetting to you. If it is triggering to you, themes of racism, bullying, and various other things, please we implore you to listen to another one of our podcasts that will be much more beneficial to you. Thank you, and we hope you enjoyed the Black Lives Matter mini-series. Let's get into it right now. Now, earlier, we spoke a little bit, and we've touched on it a good few times, about call-out culture, because it's something that is extremely necessary, and we should be calling people out and not cancelling them. How do you guys feel about that? Like, how do you guys feel about calling people out? Because for some people, it can be quite distressing because you're taking your own energy to call someone out and be like, hey, bruv, sis, you did something wrong, like, and you need to like stop doing that. And it could be like on that friend to friend or family member level, but it could also be on, really public level where a celebrity or Instagram person or whatever, they've done something and it's like, yo, like, check yourself, check your privilege. How do you guys feel about that whole culture that's being cultivated right now?
I think that calling out is very good. I feel like it makes people be responsible about what they say and share, because everybody learns from everybody. So it's very important to call out. However, I think even though I think cancel culture, I think they think they're doing something good, and some instances, they're calling out, they're canceling people that have done a lot of bad things, but I think canceling is very extreme, and I feel like it has come from the younger generation, because I don't know, but it seems very immature, and because people, it doesn't give like a chance for someone to grow or learn, So I think canceling is not gonna help achieve that goal that the people canceling the person want them to do. I think it's very damaging. So I don't know, it's kind of like telling someone that we don't care about your existence, because someone is not all bad, and you're just saying, you have just like given hope on someone, and they may feel and believe that and not even want to try anymore because they've been cancelled by the whole globe. But for some, I don't know, I do appreciate when very bad people who have a history of doing a lot of bad things get that sort of pressure, but I think it's very toxic. I don't think it's progressive, I think to an extent, I think calling out, I don't know, there has to be kind of a balance, but canceling someone, it's I don't agree with that culture.
One thing I would say is that even though I completely agree with all of that as well, it's just for me, like, calling out doesn't really work. So I mean, it's definitely worth it in some occasions, but in some occasions it's not even worth calling out someone, because I feel like because they've had these views from such a young age, it is very hard to change something that you've grown up believing. And I don't think that that's right. However, they will not change. So like, it's always that quote, like, to argue with an illogical person, you yourself are illogical, because it really is like you are fighting something that you know you're not going to win, and you never will. So yeah, like, call out by all means, but expect to be on the receiving end. Like, I called out racism towards Asians due to coronavirus, and then I just got hit with more of it. So I don't know, you're not going to change the minds of the ignorant as easily as you think you are. So that's why I do think it's all about the system, and it needs to start from young. It's so easy for me to just spurt this and say, like, oh, we need to sort it out from young. It's not going to happen like that, but I think that's definitely where you need to start, with the way you're raising your children, the way you're raising nieces. You need to make them aware of race and culture from the offset, so that they're not surprised when they see someone of a different race or culture or religion or whatever. Like, yeah.
It's just like, oh my gosh, she's black.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my days, she's Asian, right?
It's like, what's going on?
Yeah. Yeah, that's my 2 cents.
Yeah, I think Hannah's nailed it when it is talking about starting from early, and like we talked about earlier, is education is at the forefront of all of this. And for me, the real opportunity with the Black Lives Matter movement is getting decolonization of the curriculum, focusing on more role models in schools. I think that's a huge thing, that actually that would make a massive difference through not just more black academics, but actually let's engage with a variety of different ethnicities, and also looking at different gender splits. So an interesting way of looking at this is look at how some young boys fare in primary school, because it's a female dominated space. So it's not just one way or the other way. It's another way of looking at it, and I think we see that exacerbated in higher education by the frankly quite white dominated sort of academics. And it's not their fault. It just is how it is, and we need to sort of progressively adapt. With regards to call out culture, I hate the terminology. It's for me, it's the wrong terminology. It's just it's challenging. It's not call out. It sounds too. That sounds too aggressive. All good rhetoric must be challenged. It's why the government and politicians sometimes go in the wrong direction, because there's not been good challenge. I mean, I'm not going to spout abuse at Jeremy Corbyn or at Boris, for Jeremy when he was in, obviously now it's Keir Starmer. But the problem is, if you haven't got an adequate opposition, ideas go crazy. And what I don't like about some of the direction that our culture is going in is the far right are, let's face it, very crazy and have some absolute nonsense opinions, but also the far left isn't open to conversation and discourse. And for me, that's the most dangerous thing of all of it, because without conversation, you don't get that. And I think that the call out culture is exacerbated by a generation that is fundamentally only on social media. How can you have a debate in 140 characters on Twitter? It's a nonsense. And this, for me, is what stems a lot of the problems. Like, how would you know? So say, for example, you could clip this podcast if you wanted to and get the bit that says Raf hates call out culture. And if you wanted to, like, go all over the internet. I mean, I don't I have my own podcast, but I say loads of dumb stuff on it. But actually, the value is in the conversation. And what I fear with this generation, and I mean, our generation, I mean, I'm probably a millennial and you guys are probably just Gen Z, but I mean, we're literally in between both of them. But it's the case of, we need to have actual conversations. We need to get round tables, because otherwise we're going to achieve nothing.
And I think that's extremely important. And lots of opinions that people have been saying over this allyship section have been, we need conversations. Aria, who was on a previous episode, she mentioned that she had a conversation with her dad, who holds some like quite racist views, and they had she said all of the things that she believed to her dad said all the things that he believed to her. And even though they may not have ended up on the same page by the end of it, at least they know each other's side of the story. And Raf, as you said, that's extremely important. Like, don't get me wrong, it's hard. Like, would I happily sit down with a member of the KKK and listen to what they have to say? I mean, it would be hard, but I'd try.
There's a guy that
as
did
l-
it. Darius, there's a guy that
Yeah.
did it. He was on the I think he was on the Joe Rogan podcast. Amazing. I
Yeah.
can't remember the name of the guy, but he actually effectively I don't know the ins and outs of it, but he infiltrated them. It was a black guy, and he effectively became friends with like one of the grand people of the KKK, and actually got them to change their opinion. I mean, if that can happen, what can't happen?
Exactly. And it's like, there's so much, as you said, there's so much depth within relationships, within conversation, within friendships, because like, the thing is, lots of us have we're friends with people who have different opinions to us. We are friends with people who have different belief systems or different ways that they've been brought up. But that doesn't mean that we can't have conversations. It doesn't mean that we can't sit down and, be civilized human beings and just say like, you know what, this is what I believe. This is what I think. Thank you for telling me what you believe and what you think. We may not 100% agree, but we still both agree that both of our opinions and our lives are valid. And I feel like that's where lots of, disruption has been happening, which has caused so much upset, where people are like, your lives don't matter. Your lives don't matter. And it's like, hold up, no. All of our lives matter. And I'm not saying all lives matter as in that air quoted. I'm saying like every single person that exists on this planet, whether you're black, white, straight, gay, whatever, trans, like, I do not care. Your life matters. All of our lives matter. And that's basically when we're, people are shouting out Black Lives Matter, that's all we're saying. At the base of it, that's all we're saying. We're trying to just say to everyone that, hey, my life over here, like, I've got darker skin, my life matters too. My dark sister down the street, her life matters too. Like, my dark trans best friend, like, their life matters too. All of our lives matter. And I think that is what is so difficult for so many people to understand.
With like calling people out, I've also realized that you need to remember that, like I said, they have been brought up to think this. So even though they might be very racist, I can kind of understand. Like, I've learned being racially abused that like they didn't know, that they genuinely didn't know. If they carry on now, okay, all right, we're gonna have a conversation or more of an argument. But it is kind of like, I am more accepting that, okay, it's new to you, so I can't be mad at you for something that you've grown up to do. Like, I know, I just think like in Japan, they have quite a prejudice towards people with tattoos just because they relate it with the mafia. So obviously they are scared. It's not that they have a hatred towards tattoos or they think you're bad, but the way, so I had to accept that. I actually had a bit of a bicker with my granddad years ago, my Japanese granddad years ago about it, and then it took me having to understand where he comes from, to understand like where the area in Japan that he comes from, why he has these views, and to tell him that it's not the same for everyone, so don't stereotype everyone. However, you have to find a bit of empathy for them as well. Not everyone, not every racist, but you know what I mean. But, like, it's something I've had to learn.
I think if you're looking for like a place to, I mean, other than this podcast, which is absolutely amazing, so, keep listening, but if you're looking for somewhere to like listen or like watch something where you can truly gain empathy for someone, there's an amazing YouTube channel called Jubilee Media, where they just speak to all different kinds of people about various different things. Like, I've been watching it and been like, oh my goodness, like, you learn so much about different people's opinions of people's backgrounds who I've never even thought of. So like, they've done things on, do all Christians think the same? Do all black people think the same? Do all disabled people think the same? And they do series like that. And I'm just like, oh my goodness, this really opens up your eyes to other people's opinions and can start conversations. Like, I've watched some of those and then been and had conversations with my parents and been like, whoa, like, certain prejudices that we have, we all have prejudices in some way, but prejudices that we have, like, we need to address them, because it's like these people that we've grown up and thought were a certain way. Like, they aren't. Like, they're lovely, like, brilliant, diverse, fantastic people. Like, it's just a small minority of people who we've met along the way who just weren't nice to us. And I think sometimes we will tarnish like a whole group of people with like one brush, being like, no, this one person did this to me, and now this whole race of people, or this whole group of people, that they're all this or they're all that. It's like, no, we need to stop that. We need to take accountability for our own thoughts, our own biases, what we're thinking, what we're, you know, putting out into the world as well. And I think I 100% agree with all of what you've said about call out culture. I think there's a time and place for it. Personally, I mean, let's be real. If you've taken the time to come onto my social media and comment something, I'm gonna tell you something. So, like, you took time out of your day to do something. So I'll make it worth your while. But like, I pick my battles. It's like with anything. Like, I know, like, I need to pick my battles. Like, if someone says something to me, it's like the judgment of like, if I say something to you, are you going to kill me? Or if I say something to you, am I going to lose my job? Or if I say something to you, like, what's going to happen to my family or my friends? And that's like the deeper thinking. So like, I'll pick my battles. So I'd suggest everyone pick your battles, because you don't always need to tell someone that they're wrong. Like, that someone else will probably tell them that they're wrong. You personally don't need to tell them that they're wrong. Like, there's so many people on this planet, like 7-point-something billion people on the planet, and there's a certain proportion of them on social media, a certain proportion of them that if you're like on a train or on a tube or something happens in a public place, if it happens to you, and I'm saying from experience, I've been on a tube in London and there was this bunch of extremely drunk guys coming back from a football match. They saw me and started like making monkey noises. I said nothing, so I was like, there's like 17 of you here. I'm not even trying to say anything to you, because if I do, I'm gonna die. I'm not ready for that today. But luckily, like, my white friend stood up and was like, yeah, guys, like, stop what you're doing. And it was like, whee! In their, you know, very drunk state. And it's like, well, as I said, there's a time and place, you know, for you to speak, for you to not speak. And for that moment, that was a time for me to not speak at all. So definitely pick your battles, guys. Like,
this is what I was saying.
Yeah.
Don't argue with the illogical.
Yeah,
You
definitely.
can't. So you've just got to let them win that one. Enjoy their cheering. Oh, mate.
Yeah.
And the thing is, those things should never be things that should be pulling us apart. Like, the things that people push on us as stereotypes, not things that we've taken on, things that people push on us as stereotypes, are the things that we've never accepted, we've never wanted. But because of institutionalization, and because, I guess, as a people, we've wanted to somehow be accepted. We wanted to be like, oh, when you go to school, you're like, oh, I want to be accepted by my white friends, so let's be in this way. Let's talk like Jimmy. Let's talk like Diane.
Talk it!
But when you go to your house and you talk in the same dialect as your parents, or talk with the same accent as your parents, you end up playing that game, and I'm done with playing the game.
You also have to protect yourself, you know,
Yeah.
rather than winning an argument that is,
Yeah,
I agree with
Definitely.
you, Darius. Yeah.
Yeah, you've got to protect
Yeah, like
your own
as well,
energy
like
sometimes.
I would love to I would love to call out every guy who catcalls me, or like even in London, oh my god, it has been way worse. But you feel, as a girl, you always feel scared, you know, when men look at you in the streets. And I always would like to say, this is not right and all this stuff, but like I have to think about, what if they want to harm me because of that, you know? Like, there's women in New York who have called out people in the street and they get shot. Like,
Yeah.
you can't just do that, you know? There's, yeah, have to. I agree with you.
Yeah.
It's annoying that we have to protect ourselves from something that's so. I was saying to my mum, I was like, I genuinely walked back from town. This is in a nice small
Mhm.
town. I walk back from town, and if it's like past 12, I will hide behind a bush until the car goes past, and then I get out the bush and I carry on walking. Like, just because it's just so much, you just don't know. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've experienced a lot of like horrible stuff just here. So yeah, it just seems like cities are far away, but
Yeah.
the fetishing is, yeah, it's crazy, and it is on both sides, like for men as well. Like I've yeah, I've seen it as well. So
Especially when there are numbers, like big numbers, and you're just one person. Like, sorry, but I'm leaving.
It's like, I'm done, bye.
Not today.
Yeah. I think like all of these like discussions that we're having are extremely important because I mean, all of them, the discussions about, you know, being a woman, the discussions about, you know, racism and everything, because all of these intertwine at some point along the way, because that they're so deeply linked. Fortunately, because we live under a system of patriarchy, which affects every single thing that we do, whether you're of a different race, whether you're of a different gender, different sexuality, whatever, it affects everything that we do. So when you're, you know, seen as the ultimate, I'm air quoting that one too, you're treated, you know, fairly, and that's like the level of privilege that is expected to be seen within the whole of society. But then when you're underneath that, which I mean, kind of is a bad choice of words, but that's what it feels like when you're underneath that and you're, you know, not a man or not white and you're not straight and you don't fit into those boxes, then you're just kind of there like, oh, what privilege do I have? Like, oh, can I walk outside my house and feel safe? Probably not. And it's a lot. It really can be a lot. We're gonna like wrap this up, guys, and I just want to ask you like my final question. What does Black Lives Matter mean to you? Which is a big question, I know, but what does it mean to you?
ethnic minorities get their voices. I think that's the main thing for me. Like, finally they get to speak out. People can be more woke, and I think people, the only thing with it is I think people feel really nervous to make sure they're doing enough, but like they also need to remember like a drop in an ocean can cause a ripple. So like, don't don't underrate yourself, because I think people are getting a little bit scared sometimes that they're not doing enough. But like, hopefully we can continue to do more and change will happen.
Yeah, I think for me, it's very straightforward. Is Black Lives Matter? Like, I like, yeah, just helping them have feel like they are included in society. You know, not have this separation, these stereotypes, being inclusive in your friend groups, at the workplace, calling out friends. Even though, it's stepping out of your shoes and being willing to learn without any judgment. Yeah.
Thank you. Raf, what about you?
I think as someone of monumental levels of privilege, I think it's interesting to reflect on it. I mean, I was fortunate enough to do a lot of work within my undergrad university around diversity, around inclusion, and I know that I will never fully understand, but I think that what Black Lives Matter, I would hope for a lot of people that are in a privileged position, I would love it if it just made them think, actually, there are areas where I am not perfect and how I need to improve to become better. And this is not just to do with Black Lives Matter. This is to do with, are people a little bit more racist than they think they are? Are people a little bit more sexist than they think they are? Are people a little bit more homophobic or transphobic than they think they are? And the truth is, all of us, are a bit too much of those things. Every single one of us. And it's how are we actively acknowledging that and trying to do better?
That's an extremely important point, because all of those biases exist within all of us. It's just at different levels. Like, I understand, like, you may see someone down the street who may, you know, be in like a full KKK wizard outfit uniform, whatever they're called, but like, and you'll look at them and be like, oh my gosh, they're really racist. Yes, they are, but you know, you could still harbor some similar prejudices within you. Like, you'll be walking home and you'll see like a black man in a hoodie and you'll be like, oh no, let me like hold my purse a bit tighter because, you know, he could rob me. That is still, you know, there's some like racism there, and just because it's in comparison smaller doesn't mean it's not there. So I think, as Raf, as you said, it's extremely important to acknowledge that. And Gabriella, as you were saying, like, we all need to get to that place where we're all on like that level playing field, where we're all like, you know what, all of our lives matter. Because like at the moment they don't. Plain and simple. They just don't. And I would love to get to a time where, you know, I can confidently say, because currently I can't confidently say this, but I would love to be able to confidently say that Black lives do matter. But then I will look at the news, I'll look on social media, and I'll look on all of these other places, and it's like, oh, another black person's been killed. Oh, another black person's been murdered. Oh, another black person's been attacked. And it's like, wow, like, do our lives really matter? And I'm just hoping that one day we'll get to a place where, you know, my children, when they come along, they'll be safer than I was when I grew up, a lot safer than my parents were when they grew up, and a whole lot safer than my grandparents were when they grew up. Because, like, it's been a struggle, to put it lightly. It's been a struggle, and I don't doubt that it's been a struggle for anyone else of any other different race. And I also don't doubt it's been a struggle for anyone who's, you know, human, because we all struggle, we all go through things, we all go through different pressures, and you know, we go through, you know, bereavements and death and so many other things. But as we've been saying, like, all of those things affect us all, but it's not made worse by, you know, the place that you were born, the color of your skin, your gender, your sexual orientation. None of that affects all of those things adversely like those things do. So I think, thank you, all of you, because it's been extremely great to hear you all talk about, I guess, the privilege that you do have, and then the areas that you don't see, like the privilege that you just don't have. And I think that's, once you can acknowledge that within yourself, that's extremely helpful. Because I know, like, me being a black man, I have privilege. Like, I'm a black, straight, able-bodied man. Like, I have more privilege than, you know, a black disabled trans woman. Like, so much more privilege, because people don't even think they exist within society, but they do. And it's like that we all have so much more work to do, every single one of us. And I think it's been an amazing conversation, so thank you all so much.
Cheers, Darius.
Thank you, Darius.
I have appreciated this chat so much. Not only is it because I'm getting to chat with friends, but it's because it's been so much in depth, and we've talked about so much. So guys, if you are struggling with your mental health, which I understand so many people are, specifically if you've witnessed some black trauma and you know it's deeply affected you, there are links in the description for you to go and check out to get free services to, you know, help out with your mental health, because no one should ever be suffering alone. Like, there are people out there who are willing to help you. Now, guys, make sure you check out all of these lovely people who are on the screen, or if you're not watching, who you've heard their beautiful voices, like, check every single one of them out. If you don't, I'm judging you. Like, I know we were talking earlier about not judging people, but I am judging you. Like, that's the one thing I will judge you for, because every single person on this episode right now, every single person we've had on the podcast so far, they have been amazing. Don't even try and tell me they haven't been, because you are a liar. Anyhow, Hannah, remind us again the links to everything that you are doing.
Just one. Yeah, so Field of Tree Jewelry. Yeah, it's my mother-daughter business. So it'd be amazing if anyone could check that out. And if you want to follow me on IG for just some boring, bog standard Hannah stuff, then I'm following you. But it's Hannah Marika. That's my name. So yeah, give us a follow. Bog standard Hannah Marika. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Thank you so much, Darius.
That's okay. Raf, what about you? Where can people, find out more about you, listen to your podcast, find out more about your masters? Where can they find out all that information?
Best bet, if you have some spare time and I want to be incredibly bored to sleep, join me on Raf Chats, where actually I don't talk that much, and I get exceptional individuals on the podcast, and we talk from CEOs to professors to authors around all things from business to entrepreneurship to mental health. And if you want to grab me on MySpace, Bebo, or WeChat, you can get me at Rafa _G_K on all platforms.
Thank you. I mean, guys, please don't go to MySpace. Don't do it. Like,
Bebo, give me the hearts.
Bebo, yeah, no,
That's how old I am.
I mean, yeah, you are old.
MS. Oh god.
Oh, Gabriela, what about you? Where can everyone find out all about your art and all of the amazing things that you're doing?
Okay, thank you. You can find my art on Instagram at _Nolova, NOLOVA and then my main is Gabriela G Flores, ending with set. And then my website, if you want to get some art, is gabrielagflores.com.
Thank you. Absolutely amazing. Like, as I said, everyone here, amazing. Like, we don't have unamazing people on this podcast. So, like, it's cool. Thank you all so much for listening. We really, really appreciate it. These are some fantastic allies, and you've just found out where to find them. I am Darius, and you will see me and hear me next time here on the Black Lives Matter mini-series here on the Oxford Youth Podcast. Bye.
Darius, thank you, mate.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you.